Oh man, we got a great one for you next. Brand new interviews and insights on the biggest selling number one hit of the 80s. And the group was only together for a couple of hours. They put the super in supergroup though, the greatest supergroup ever assembled, and I got many of those legends telling the story today. A group that had so many legendary singers, some had to sit out singing lead on the song. So many great stories here, including one about a legendary singer who was supposed to be there, but was a no-show, which opened the door for another singer to step up. And it was a great performance. And then every radio station in America played the song at the very same time. The only time that's ever happened. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. This is one show you don't want to miss. Man, oh man, buckle up for some pure unadulterated joy and pure nostalgia coming up next on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time, especially today. You know, if you remember spending hours and hours at the video store trying to figure out what movies to pick out for the weekend, you're going to dig this channel of pure musical nostalgia. Make sure that you subscribe below right now and click the bell so you always know when our new ones drop. New interviews, new videos. So I'm excited to bring you yet another episode from our series, Revelations. It's where featured artists go deep on their greatest songs and their greatest albums. Stories, factoids, tidbits from rock and pop history that you just won't find anywhere else. This is one for the ages, folks, I'm telling you. It was a night unlike any other night before there was the internet or 24-hour news or AI. The date was January 28th, 1985. And a legendary producer would gather the greatest legends of rock and pop music underneath the same roof to assemble the greatest supergroup in the history of the world, but it would only be for one song and only take place over that one night. I mean, every 80s kid remembers this event like the back of their hand. It was just a key part of our childhood. I'm talking about the group, USA for Africa, and the multi-platinum number one smash, We Are the World. The charity single was, of course, written by Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie, produced by Quincy Jones and Michael Omartian. The song would go on to sell over 20 million copies, making it one of the biggest selling singles ever. And today, I've got a half a dozen interviews with legends sharing some of the key experiences from that magical night and insights about some of the other artists that were there. Of course, inspired by Band-Aid, who had just released Do They Know It's Christmas just a month before. Do they know it's Christmas time? The late musician slash activist Harry Belafonte, he wanted to help, and he enlisted fundraiser and humanitarian and artist manager Ken Cragen to help implement his vision. They got a hold of Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie, who'd been a client in the past, and actually I think he was Lionel Richie's manager at that moment. And they started to write the song. It was finished a mere 7 weeks after Do They Know It's Christmas, and just before they assembled the superstars and legends to record the song. They were actually still working on it, trying to put the finishing touches on it as people were arriving to record this, as I understand it. They carefully planned the session to be right after the American Music Awards so that many of the artists would be able to make it to the studio right after the show's taping. And they kind of kept it secret. They didn't want a bunch of news people there. Like I said before, Harry Belafonte, he deserves a lot of credit for putting together the initial idea of organizing the recording of the song and to have the best-known artists participate to put it out there. He planned to have the proceeds donated to an organization called United Support of Artists for Africa, known as USA for Africa. The nonprofit would in turn get food to starving people in Africa, specifically in Ethiopia, where a famine of biblical proportions was taking place at that time.
Chill of night on the plain outside Coram, it lights up a biblical famine.
So Ken Cragen, how it all worked out, he started with his clients. Started with Kenny Rogers and Lionel Richie, got them aboard. Then they turned to Stevie Wonder, and then Quincy Jones was brought in to co-produce. He was working on The Color Purple, took some time off from that. Of course, Quincy phoned Michael Jackson, the biggest star in the world at that time. He had just finished up the Victory Tour. He was still in the middle of the success of Thriller. So Michael told Lionel that, he just didn't want to just sing it. He wanted to write it as well. They were also going to have Stevie Wonder help write it, but he was busy on another project, so he didn't have time. So on January 28th, 1985, after the American Music Awards, where Bruce Springsteen, Huey Lewis and the News, Hall & Oates, Cyndi Lauper, and Lionel Richie were the big winners that night, 45 of the biggest stars in the world gathered at A&M Studios to record We Are the World. As we're going to find out next, two of the biggest icons of that time were invited, but they didn't show up. Prince and Madonna. We're going to find out why next. Bob Geldof, who was the instigator of the whole vision a month before, he was also present. And apparently comedian Eddie Murphy was invited to be there by Stevie Wonder, but he was busy recording Party All the Time. I've read that 45 artists participated, but another 50 were turned away. But I've never been able to track down who was actually turned away. I'm sure that a trade could have been made for Dan Aykroyd for just about anybody. I'm just kidding. I've always wondered, though, why artists like, the Cars or Peter Cetera or Ozzy or Pat Benatar, Hart, ZZ Top, John Mellencamp, the Go-Go's, or, Van Halen and Stevie Nicks weren't there, amongst others.
We are the children. We are the ones.
I mean, Smokey Robinson, one of the greatest voices ever, doesn't get a solo. That's a head-scratcher for me. Doesn't matter if he was past his peak. One of the greatest voices ever. So let's get into some of these great stories. Remember, everybody had to check their egos at the door per the sign. Coming up next, Kenny Loggins, Huey Lewis, Kenny Rogers, and multi-instrumentalist Greg Fillinganes tell the inside story of recording We Are the World with a couple of surprise guests. From talking golf with Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson, to the best joke of the night, to Prince not showing up, to everybody just being enthralled by Ray Charles. Let's get into the story of We Are the World. I'm excited about this one.
Songs need to be about something. Popular music needs to be about something.
Well, I want to ask you about We Are the World because some other interviews I've done in the past, they've mentioned you. When I heard this record, because they played on every radio station at the same time, I have my favorite singers of all time, and my favorites, Billy Joel, Bruce Springsteen, Huey Lewis, were my three favorite singers. And so when I hear
you got all three of them on the same
three of
record.
them on the same record, and then of course my dad, Ray Charles, was his favorite, and
That's
Stevie
my
Wonder.
guy too, man. I was so nervous. I was so nervous with Ray. Ray was right there. I could not, for the life of me, introduce myself to Ray Charles. I just hovered around and watched him. It's awesome.
I love it.
It's true, we make a better day, just you and me.
And I love these stories that you were talking to Willie Nelson about your golf game.
Yeah.
And then Bob Dylan comes up and talks to you, and he knew about sports. I mean, he knows all about modern music. That
Yeah,
guy.
he does.
He played here last night.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Where, this hall?
In fact, I forgot to mention that we're at the beautiful Eccles Theater here in Salt Lake City. It is a beautiful theater.
It's gorgeous.
I love it.
Really, brand spanking new from the looks of it,
Yeah,
too, right?
just beautiful. But yeah, he
and
played.
I bet it sounds great.
He played here last night,
Cool.
Bob Dylan. But I heard it. He came up and offered you a song.
Yeah, he's a god. I mean, for me,
Yeah.
Dylan. But we're taking a break, and Willie Nelson comes up and says, "I hear you're playing golf." I said, "Yeah, man. I hear you do." He says, "Yeah, what do you do? We put our clubs on the bus." I said, "That's what we do too, man. It kills time. It's great." He says, "I know it's great." And we're doing this, and Bob sees that and comes over and goes, "Are you guys talking about golf?" Incredulously, and we said, "Yeah." He says, "You play golf on the road?" I said, "Yeah." He said, and Bob, I'll never forget. He goes, "Man," he says, "that's outrageous." I said, "No, Bob. Nashville skyline was outrageous. This is just golf."
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, well, that was a thrill. And he wrote me a little note, a wonderful little note about how he likes sports and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, it just blew my mind.
Probably a pinch me moment for you. Wow.
Oh, man.
There's a choice we're making. We're saving.
When you went in to record We Are the World, I mean, it's so great because you had such a dichotomy of voices. You had Steve Perry, you, Daryl Hall. Michael Jackson, of course.
You just made me remember something I haven't told anybody.
All right.
At the end of the recording process, after the whole group is done, they brought a handful of us forward to be soloists. You remember the scene where there's a semicircle?
Mm-hmm.
One of the lines on the floor had the name Prince on it. Prince was supposed to be one of the soloists.
I read that
But he
somewhere.
decided in his inimitable way to snub the whole thing and not show up.
Just so Prince.
So now you have, it was perfect. So now you got an empty space. And Michael came to me, I'm pretty sure it was Michael, might have been Quincy, and said, who here can take that space? And I said, Huey Lewis. So they brought in Huey, and Huey had that solo line. And I don't think Huey knows that I was the guy that got him on that line.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a great line, too, because
Yeah.
he sings that harmony with Cyndi Lauper and Kim Carnes. It's just incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you just believe, there's nowhere we can fall.
Kenny said to Quincy, he said, get Huey Lewis, man.
Did he?
He is incredible. He's got
Did
some
Kenny
of the
do
best.
that?
That's what he's
great.
Yeah.
Because all I know, I'd finish the chorus thing, and I'm over here and say, Q wants you. And he sent for me, and he brings me in, and he's got Michael there. He says, Smelly. He called him Smelly.
Yeah.
You know? He said, Smelly, sing Huey the line. And he goes, just believe, no way we can fall. He sings and says, sing it, Huey. I go, just believe, no way we can. You got it. Good, let's go.
Yeah,
and
Kenny
then
said
we
that.
went right in.
He
and
said, I don't think Huey knows that. If you talk to him, you tell him that, because I've never been able to tell him
I
that.
didn't know that.
Yeah, because Kenny's become a friend, but he was
Good
telling
for
me.
him. Thanks.
Yeah, he was telling me, I mean, he had a lot of compliments. He said, I just thought Huey had one of the best voices in all
That
of
is
music.
great. That is
But
sweet.
he also told me about the Paul Simon had the comment of the night.
Who told you that?
Kenny.
Well, then let Kenny say it.
There's another one that I
Yeah.
don't know if it's cool to tell, but I got to tell you because you're not going to tell anybody. That I think Paul Simon had the line of the night, but there was pretty much we'd all come from a American Music
American
Award.
Music Awards, yeah.
And so everybody was pulling in one after the other. And so at one point, Paul Simon turns around, doesn't talk a lot. He's somewhat shy, I think. And he turns around and says, whoa, he says, if a bomb drops on this room, John Denver's back on top.
Oh, man, that's great.
Yeah.
But
It's
anyway,
funny. I mean, it's a funny joke, but but by the way, John Denver was a great guy. Man.
oh, yeah.
And it never sang out of tune.
I
either.
freaking
Never sang out
I
of tune.
love John Denver.
His pitch was unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
he was a accomplished.
Oh, yeah.
guy,
Rocky
man.
Mountain High, one of the greatest songs ever.
And he could just you could wake him up out of bed,
yeah.
and he could sing pure as driven snow, man.
Oh, yeah.
He was
Yeah.
talented.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Rocky Mountain High.
There's so many great stories from that, but hanging out with Michael Jackson. I mean, at his peak, you know.
Yeah. He asked me. He had all kinds of things about. Because he was here and I was here. So, Humberto, when we first go to do the lead vocal, there's 5 microphones set up and there's probably 15 of us or whatever it is. So we share microphones. One guy steps up, sings. Next guy steps up, sings. Next microphone like that. And Humberto wanted to get one complete pass because there's ambience in the room and you don't want it to sound like it's chopped up. So we tried to get all the way through it. Well, they start. Stevie Wonder's such a talent. He never do anything twice the same way.
Someone to make a brighter day, so let's start giving.
So he's fooling around with his line. Lionel goes, there comes a time when we heed a certain call and the world must come together as one. And so he goes, there are peoples dying. And he wait, stop. I got another idea. He's such a genius.
Oh, yeah.
And so they'd stop the tape and they go back and start the take again. Well, I'm way over here at the end of the thing. So I don't even get a shot at my line. I've never sung my line yet. And now they go 2 or 3, 4 times now. Al Jarreau messes up and they get that way. They start again from the top. I said, hey, Humberto, can you keep going even if they mess up so I can rehearse my line? I mean, you got you got Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles, and Al Jarreau.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, so that was because he came out there just the mic. So then he let us go. And Michael was so smart, when we get done, when he says, that's a good idea, man. Let's practice, make the thing. And so I said, yep. So now we do a take all the way around and it's not great, whatever. Well, all right, let's do another one, says Humberto. Boom, we do another one that's really good all the way around, pretty good. And I see through the glass, Humberto and Quincy goes, yeah, flag that one, or whatever it is. And everybody's, all right, let's just do another one like that. And Michael tugs on my sleeve, says, they're going to keep that one, aren't they? I said, yeah, they're keeping it. He says, that was the one. I said, I know. But what a great thing. Right?
Oh, I know.
Sharing with Michael that.
Well,
right here. And it was so
well,
cool.
you and Cindy and Kim, though.
Yeah.
Just incredible. That part right there.
Well, and then what happened there, at the last line, Quincy says, Huey, sing a harmony.
Yeah.
Well, that's an artistic consideration.
I know.
I got to make that up.
I know.
In front of all these people.
Wow.
My legs were literally shaking. Literally, my knees were shaking. It was unbelievable.
Well, I was kind of at the peak of my career, but I walked into that room and I'm telling you, that was intimidation at its best to see all of those people in there. And the Baylor brothers took that song and dissected it, said, I want you to sing this. I want Steve Perry to sing here. I want Diana Ross to sing here.
We're saving our own lives.
And they did a masterful job. And of course, when we go in the door, there was a big sign, hey, leave your
ego at the door.
Ego's at the door. And you had to do that. So, but when I went in there and we started singing it, I had a sheet music. And I was the first one to go around and get people to sign it. And Diana Ross was right behind me. And I think the two of us were the only ones that got it completely signed.
Ray Charles was right in front of me off my left shoulder, and Bob Dylan was right behind me. And I'll tell you what, that was pretty amazing. And I'm going to show you something. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'm going to switch the computer here. Now look way up in the corner. You see that picture that's up there?
Is that the lyric sheet that you had signed?
That's the handwritten, hand autographed lyric sheet by everybody who was in We Are the World. And it's this actual lead sheet, and it's got everybody's name on it, and it's sitting right there.
I love that. You're actually one of the only people to have gotten that, because I
know.
As I understand it, you started doing it, and then everybody was like, "Oh, I'm going to do that too." But you were, I think there was only like 2 or 3 people that got everybody's signature.
I thought that Kenny Rogers, God rest his soul, I thought he had one, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I really don't know of anyone else that has one. So
yeah, he told.
Usually I miss those moments. I'm not real sharp when it comes to that. But I had a Sharpie in my hand, and I just made a point of walking around the room going, "Hey, sign this, sign this, sign this." And I got everybody on there, man. So pretty cool.
Yeah. What specific moments do you remember that stand out to you in that night?
Well, what stands out is that everyone, because there was no managers and no hangers-on and no, assistants, everybody just let their guard down, and everybody just talked and kind of mingled around. It felt pretty comfortable. And, it was a unique moment because it was after the American Music Awards. And at the time, there wasn't a proliferation of award shows like there are now. There's an award show every week. But in those days, you had the Grammys, you had the American Music Awards, and that was pretty much it. So it was clever that they realized that pretty much, all the top artists in pop music were going to be at the American Music Awards. It'd be very convenient for them to all come over afterwards to the recording studio. And so that's how it worked out really well. I remember various people, as everyone has an ego, and when you fill a room full of stars, everyone kind of, most popular stars are pretty, they're pretty headstrong about the way they like to do things. Let's put it that way. And a few people tried to almost, I wouldn't say hijack the recording session, but just say, "Hey, why don't we do it this way? Or why don't we do it?" And I remember Ray Charles got frustrated after a while, and he said, "Hey, this is Michael and Lionel's song. We'll do it the way they want." And everybody shut up. And that was cool.
Any memories that stick out? I mean, when it goes from MJ, Springsteen, Kenny Loggins, Steve Perry, you and Huey Lewis, that right there is the coolest part of the song for me. I just think you got vocal powerhouses there and so different and distinct. What stands out to you about We Are the World?
What you just described, it was very thought out by Quincy. He put different singers in different places to achieve that effect that you're talking about. And he set it up that way. Because each one of those people that you just mentioned has a completely different voice, including me. We're all completely different. So when you have people singing phrases like that, you have to construct it so it makes some kind of sense. a musical sense. And Quincy, was really amazing at doing that. I mean, I'm very impressed, with his abilities to do that. Of course, he's one of the greatest of all time. But, he proved it on that. I always say it's like 8th grade chorus, like the junior high chorus. Everybody reverted to the 8th grade. And Quincy was the choir director.
Yeah. That's the best way to say it.
Yeah.
How the hell did you not get a solo on We Are the World? I've always wondered.
I want to explain that to you. We Are the World. We didn't even start to record We Are the World until midnight. I mean, all the artists at wherever they were that day or whatever they had done, Michael and Lionel called us and we went in because we were going to record this song. It was a great, wonderful, fun night, However, I had a concert the next day and I had a flight at 6:30 in the morning to go to wherever my concert was going to be. So about 3:30 or so in the morning, I had to leave before they even started to do the lead vocals.
Oh,
because we were doing the chorus for We Are the World. All that. So they were concentrating on that before they started to do the lead vocals. So I had to leave, and that's why and
okay.
Lionel asked me, he said, "Man, what happened to you?" I said, "Well, I had to leave." So that's what happened about that.
It was quite an experience.
We can't go on pretending day by day.
And when you listen to the song today, it still has so much depth to it. You just, and I tried at the time, as I said, I was kind of at the peak of my career. And I think Lionel Richie and I paid for a lot of stuff. So all the money could go to We Are the World.
There's nothing like those distinct voices of the Bob Dylans and the Kenny Rogers of the world.
Yeah.
Because there's something to that voice,
There's
like Frank
personality.
Sinatra. Yeah, there's something
personality
there.
in those,
Absolutely.
Somewhere will soon make a change.
You watch We Are the World, the voices that stand out that they grab to sing those big, you have Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder, but you have James Ingram. And I think that's why Quincy chose him to sing one of those big, you see him in the studio, he's just bringing it.
Just the greatest person, He's a real spiritual person.
Yamo Be There.
Yes, yeah.
Another great song with Michael McDonald.
And I said to him, man, do you know you're just one of the greatest singers I've ever heard? I mean, the past 25 years, I think the last time I felt this way was Ray Charles.
I'm sitting there at the piano, and here's who I'm looking at. Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, and Lionel Richie. They're all like draped across the piano, and I'm, playing, I'm doing this bit here. Wait a minute. And we're going over the song, and all of a sudden Lionel sings, "There comes a time where we heed a certain call," and then Stevie's singing and Michael's singing. I'm like, and I'm at the piano going, okay. And of course, when you look at the making of it, I look like I'm 12. I'm wearing some goofy shirt, and these guys are flat out rock stars, and they're at the piano right next to me.
Eventually carry over to the entire USA for Africa project.
There was a spot for Prince.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he didn't. Because, he was a little strange. But
Dan Aykroyd was there. That was one that always kind of threw me, but then I thought, well, he's a blues brother. So.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Throw him a bone.
But
yeah, it was quite the eclectic mix, wasn't it?
But here's what I love is you see Quincy, and he's missing the side.
Oh yeah, right. But he didn't care.
He didn't care, man. He doesn't care about the camera. He's just doing his thing.
But that did not come without hours of preparation.
Oh,
better believe that. He did his homework. He mapped everything out.
Well,
A brilliant study in how to get some of the world's greatest artists to
come together. So there have been a lot of theories as to why Prince didn't show up. You heard some of them just now. Some have said that Prince thought the song was just awful and he didn't want to record with Michael Jackson. You know, remember they were both mano a mano at this time, the biggest stars at the moment. They were supposed to duet at one point on the song. How cool would that have been? There's also a rumor that Prince had to bail out his security guards, and another who said he held a grudge because Bob Geldof had called him a creep before that. He did donate the track for the Tears in Your Eyes for the album, though. Madonna didn't show up because her management was concerned about her missing dates on her tour. Ironically, she would replace We Are the World at #1 later that year with Crazy for You. So there's that. The song was released on March 7th, 1985. It was a worldwide commercial success. Like I've said, it topped the charts throughout the world. It became the fastest selling U.S. pop single in history. We Are the World received a quadruple platinum certification by the Recording Industry Association of America, becoming the first single to be certified multi-platinum. Sadly, we've lost 10 of the 45 performers from We Are the World over the last few decades. Tina Turner and Harry Belafonte just recently, Anita and June Pointer, the Pointer Sisters, Kenny Rogers, James Ingram, Al Jarreau, Michael Jackson, of course, Ray Charles, and Waylon Jennings. Every 80s kid remembers the day We Are the World was released because every radio station in America played it at the exact same time. Like I said, it was like Christmas. My favorite artists all singing on the same track. It was so cool. I remember buying the single the day it came out. My parents bought the album. It was such a magical moment. It was a shared experience for my generation where the world seemed just a little bit smaller and we were all singing the same song all at once. It just doesn't happen anymore. But this incredible event that started with Band Aid, capsized with We Are the World, and peaked with Live Aid, it was proof that music really can change the world. What are your memories of We Are the World? Make sure to leave us a comment about this amazing song about Ray Charles, Bob Dylan, having all of these guys under one roof. What do you think of the stories? What are your favorite vocalists from the song? Who do you think nailed it on the vocals? It's just incredible. Let's have a great discussion. Make sure to subscribe below. We would love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.